Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Beyond the Limit. My name is Zainab Mohammed. On this episode, we'll be speaking about autism, what causes it, what are some of the challenges caregivers face, caregivers who have children with autism face. And with me here is a caregiver. I'll let her introduce herself. Thank you so much for making time. Please tell us about your name and a little background about what you do.
So my name is Joycelyn Kinyua, and my son is 18 years old today, living with autism, and we've grown in this autism awareness with my son for a period of maybe, we say 15 years, because at 3 years we conclusively knew he has autism. So this is a journey we've been with him, and he has two siblings that came much later, 11 years down the line. It's when I got two siblings for him. Yeah.
I want you to take us back to when your son was born and those 3 years. How did you come to find out that your son actually has autism? This is for the benefit of mothers who are out here who have small babies and they have no idea about the indicators.
So when my son was born, all was well. He was a very happy baby. I never had issues at all. He was born, I went through normal delivery with a little complications. I remember very well, because after delivery, I went to theater for reconstruction. I had what the doctor will tell us what it would be, but it was a very quick labor that put me with a lot of damages that I went to theater for reconstruction. And when I came back, my baby was fine. And we went home, we grew up very well. For a period of 2 years, all was well. But later I came to realize, I think my family kind of noticed at 2 years something was not really fine. But as a mother, I didn't see anything that was different. Then my husband picked it up.
What are those that they were realizing is different?
My baby was very happy baby. He was extremely a happy baby. My baby never cried aimlessly. When I changed my house girls, I was very comfortable, and I would tell my colleagues how my baby is just adapting very well to a new person. And he laughed a lot. He then had obsessions with things that at that age was a bit funny, because anything that was round, attire, around advert on telly, around things like the covers for the sufurias in the house, he had that obsession for round things that I didn't associate with anything. So I would encourage more by even bringing around toys that had a circular kind of a shape. So after that, he got obsessed with food, milk and chapati. There was so much obsession with that I wouldn't really have identified it with something. Maybe we can get to hear from the doctor what it does to them. But he had that specific obsession with few things that when he picks on something, he just would even sleep with the thing in his bed. So we went through the journey, and at 2.5, I remember my husband really now picking it and printing some papers and coming to show me a bit of a few symptoms. I refused because there was a lot of information you were getting. He hadn't got speech. He was still not toilet trained. So at that point, we were being told, take him to school, bringing him out to children so that he can be able to pick up the milestones that he was lacking at the moment. And we went a step ahead to do that. We took him to school just before he was 3 years, because he's born in November. So I think around that time we took him to school just to see how he catches up before he was 3. Then we were trying to have children come around him, but then he would never play with them. If the children come around, he will just hide away. He will want to be just away watching the children, but doing his things away from the children. And then coming to school, he will never do anything that is being done by the rest of the children. He got obsessed. He cannot use a potty that was provided, so we were asked to take our own that he was acquainted to. So we took it, but then he would take anything that is being done. he would want to play in the next room. You know, for the small children, there's a next room with balls, mattresses. So he would want to spend his time there. And so that term ended. The next term, the teachers called us and told us the head teacher wanted to speak to us. And the head teacher told us she's been exposed. She has seen a few things like what she's seeing in our son. Please take him for therapy and for assessment so that we can be able to be advised to advise them on how to take care of the child. Yes, so that is when the journey began, because now we had to go back to hospital setting. So in the year 2007, 2006, there wasn't much. Remember I said my son is 18 years. There wasn't really much of occupational therapy. I think our clinical setups were very strong in physio, because that is what is so much in use at the moment, at that time. But right now, I think there's a lot of occupational therapy talk. And so what we would do at that point, it is to go back to hospital setting. So we'll come back to one hospital, and then some doctors at that time, some really, I can't really say that they would tell us something that I know now was supposed to have been communicated. So you jump from one, you go to another hospital just seeking what you can do, because sometimes we thought it's something that you can reverse at that early age. And when you are able to get assistance, they would now refer you to so many clinics. You're being told to do now the occupational therapy, which was unaffordable, because where we would get it at that point wasn't really affordable. When you go to healthcare, the financing, not financing, when you go to insurance, I don't think they understood what occupational therapy to a child is, as opposed to physiotherapy to somebody who has a broken bone. So they won't cover. So we went through so much that was really not something that was guiding us well. Yes.
So you were from one hospital to another?
Yes.
Okay.
And looking for specific doctor and another one. And at those times, we would all now fall back to go to Autism Society of Kenya. Yeah.
Before you even tell me about the journey and how now you were able to fully diagnose what your son had, for you as a parent, yeah, you said at first you were refusing. At what point did you finally accept?
If I can speak of that, it was just one single day. My son was born with my friend had a child just around the time I had my son. That single morning, I remember I went to work, and it was around tea time when I met my friend, and by then he was already 3 years. So my friend called home, and they asked to speak to the son. And then they had a conversation with the son. And the son is like, she was like, why are you crying? And the son says, because he wanted chicken. Wow. I thought about my son, and I was like, that's kind of the same age with my son, and the son is able to express himself. We didn't have even a single word. We had a lot of tantrums, we had a lot of crying, we had a lot of laughters, which I didn't equate them to be anything, because I thought he's still a baby. So I went home that day, and I called her back and asked her to tell me more what the son is doing. And I knew I was not in a place that anybody was at. I definitely knew what I've been being told about, please take him to children to play. I knew somebody has seen something is wrong. And so the first thing, I went to a psychiatrist the next day. Yeah.
47, the home of untold stories.
Wakati mwingine kama weekend, mimi najiachilia.
Hata ukumbuki hii story.
Nikifika watu wangu wakinipokea na kupokeleka.
Umeset the mood.
Nimeset the mood, naweza kupokeleka.
Nikitumai kwamba mzima popote pale ulipo, nikikukaribisha katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi. Jina langu Elizabeth Mutuku, na katika kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi tunakupa nafasi kutangamana nao kila siku ya Alhamisi kuanzia saa 1:30 kuendelea siku nyingine. Tutapatana papa hapa umjue kiongozi mwingine.
Jiunge nasi toka hapa ufuoni mwa bahari. Meli yetu itakapotua nanga kwa uhondo ribo ya riwaya hii Mwisho wa Kosa. Monica.
It's early morning in Maralal. Start your morning informed, educated, entertained, and above all, know your country. From the beautiful plains of Samburu County to the skyscrapers of Nairobi, Morning Cafe certainly got you covered. Indeed, a beautiful place to watch and certainly a moment of understanding and knowing your country. Indeed, to the remotest parts of every county. Join me, Linda Alela, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
The diversity of Kenya's wildlife has garnered international fame.
This is pellets that we give to the tourists, the giraffes. We ration because we don't want the giraffes to eat too much of this. We want them to have more of the natural browse.
We may not always get the opportunity to go out to see the wildlife, but you'll never miss the opportunity.
Now back to the hospital trips and all that. When would you actually say you settled and finally got the right diagnosis and then began now this journey?
So that time, to tell you the truth, I have been through the many hospitals that I can. Luckily enough, still I had a medical cover. So, and I actually went to the private hospitals. And we have been through the journey of all those hospitals, and I came, we would go to neurologists. And so one neurologist is the one now kind of told me you need to seek to work with parents that have a similar journey. He seemed to know of Autism Society of Kenya, which I didn't know. And so from there, it's where now we got our opening. And they told us, you don't need to go to hospital to look for doctors. Go straight to the hospital, occupational therapy units. And so from there, we became candidates of occupational therapy.
Okay, so 18 years, I mean, wow, that's quite a milestone, yeah? So tell us a little bit about your experience taking care of a child, or rather right now an adult with autism.
So the journey is not something I can say is easy, but I can say it's manageable. It wasn't easy in the sense that our times, we really didn't have, even if they told us about occupational therapy, it wasn't really focused as it is today. Today, the therapists are aware of what even to do for the autistic children. So our journey was really rough. We both in the family setting and both in the milestones that we had to achieve. So if I begin with the family setup, so there's that thing of how is this happening? How is your family? How is the family of the other people? So at that point you start pointing fingers, and people are trying to understand, has this happened in your family? They say it's in a good way, but they are trying to check what has happened down the line in your family to be able to equate with this situation. No wonder in the support groups that we are having today, if you take statistics, most of us are single parents. Yes, But I thank God I am in a family setup. My son has a father who is really participating in his growing. But the journey for a parent with an autistic child is quite a rough one, not easy, but today things are a bit different. Today at least people have come up with so much that can help in terms of therapy, in terms of diet, in terms of, there's some clinical diagnosis actually, because in that early time, it was, as you moved from one doctor to the next, nobody really actually pinpointed that this is autism. It was really difficult, and I remember my first one to hear autism came from a psychiatrist. Much later now, because I'm trying to understand, why is this baby not growing well? We are 4 now, we are not having toilet training. And I remember every July I would be like, God, next July I'll be fine. So this one, I went to this doctor and he just said, this is autism. Autism is a word I never knew. Nobody even knew. My husband has never heard because he was searching at symptoms. And so we went back and checked out, and we saw that is exactly what we have with our son.
How did your life change, or rather, how did you have to adjust your life?
It puts you almost, for me, I'm lucky I didn't go through clinical depression, but if you take statistics among our parents, people go through clinical depression. Remember, this was my first son when I was very young, and it just brought me down completely. And I know my husband still tells me if he wasn't strong enough to take what I gave him, he would have left. So I wouldn't blame even the men who have left. Maybe somehow, yeah, because it really it breaks the family in a way to take in and be able to manage it all. So personally for me, it wasn't very easy. My family was supportive, but I didn't think they were, or rather what I was taking, because I was thinking, if you're really supportive, why don't you come and stay with this son of mine so that I can sleep for a day, just one day sleep. Remember, in autism, a child can choose to be awake the whole night and not awake alone. He's knocking on everybody, and because everybody seems to lock themselves inside, he will hit on anything, he will make noise, he'll disturb neighbors, and in the morning the neighbors are like, what was happening? And some of them are not in good faith. I mean, we've had our people who've been chased away from houses because he will disturb inside and outside. So it wasn't a very easy way of growth. And even now, he's 18 years, he can pick a tantrum, and the neighborhood is all aware. So we are in a journey that every day there's something that has to change. If you come to my house today, I don't have curtains in my house. He's torn them, small pieces bit by bit. So what I do, I let him go through that phase, then I begin again. I just now put up the curtains, and then he'll pick on another one because now he has turned to his shirts. So he will pick on every thread on his shirt and it goes. The occupational therapist or the doctor can tell us what that is because he's 18 years. I'm expecting him to be understanding. In the morning, I'm just told, look at the socks from the younger sister. They've all been taken out. They don't have that ring of the socks up here because small strands taken out each day until he's done with a whole piece of cloth. So the journey is as such. Each day there's something new. Each day there's something new we pick. So as you know, autism is a spectrum. I wouldn't say I'm within the margin, maybe I'm somewhere in the middle because somehow we have been able to achieve some milestones, but still, we are still challenged at them.
Maybe you could tell us about those milestones. What are some of those milestones
that we've achieved? So in terms of what we've achieved now through occupational therapy is that first we've picked speech. I am not now saying that my son is nonverbal because he has selective speech. Selective speech in that he has speech to help himself. He'll ask for water and he'll ask for food. He'll tell you bye-bye He'll say when you want to go out. Yeah, so it's speech for himself. It's selective speech. And he has toilet trained. He's toilet trained, but he's not self-aware in terms of his naked. So he'll go to the toilet and come back naked. That brings me to the question of why we even don't entertain our visitors, or rather, I don't work hard to have visitors anymore because it gives you some kind of antisocial life. You see, my son is 18, you come, you visit me, he wants to pick on your food, on your plate of food, your cup of water. He goes to his room and comes with his shirt out. He goes to the toilet, he comes to ask for tissue in the sitting room. So this kind of life has kind of puts us in our own cocoon. We want to just stay within a comfort zone. And the comfort zone is you and yourself and your family. Yeah, so a lot of challenges. But coming back to the milestones, so I think we are able now to kind of give instructions and they are taken. And then he's been very hyper. He's now able to sit, like he can sit here in the garden with you, but still he'll be doing things that are not fit for his age. Because if he comes here and he's just doing his things, he's picking on leaves, he's picking on papers, he's flying things to fly with the wind. So it's a milestone to us because he was I don't know what the doctor would call it, but he was one guy, if he's here and he takes this direction, he just goes. You can't call him back, he can't come back. So I can say we've kind of calmed down to be able now to sit out with him, or else we locked him for the longest if he's not in a school setup. Yeah.
Finally, has the government failed you? Just in briefly.
I would say today things are better in a way that we even have a forum to air this out. But still, there's so much the government can do for us. Number one, schools. Integration in schools is really at a minimum. They say yes, there's integration, but we are not there. We need assistive devices for our children. Our children can't communicate. Communication can come in many forms. It's expensive to bring these things out. We cannot be assisted, at least to get some waiver in terms of taxation. Our government, yes, it recognizes the autism and other neurodevelopmental challenges, but when it comes to trying to recognize that there's a caregiver behind these children, we completely, there it's zero. Because I am the one who bears the burden. I am the voice for my child. I am the one to take my child wherever. I am the one to bear the cost. We don't get any support at the moment. So I would say there's so much that the government can do, much as so much is happening. Even the occupational therapists, the therapy aspect, we would appreciate if it's available easily to everyone. When you're able to seek the highest of it, but so much is when we are not able to get. Yes.
Thank you so much for taking time to share your journey with us. I'm sure at one point it wouldn't have been easy, but right now you're a lot stronger. Thank you so much. Well, we've heard about Joy's story, and